Jumpman shoes, boom. I know, and like old school 1989 Batman.
Where do you get them?
Where do you get, again, ask my wife, I have no idea. Also, if I own anything that's in any way nice, cool, or awesome, my wife has bought it for me. Everything I buy is going to look terrible. It's just a fact. So it's something I've got used to, and you know, a good reason to have a beautiful wife. Oh look, hi, it's like I'm on the internet now from everywhere. I feel very, this is exciting. Hello, hi. So, I don't know, what's the best way for you guys, for me to do this? I can either, like last time, pretend to tell you about Australia, and I can tell you a bunch of lies about Australia that aren't really true, like about riding kangaroos to work and things like that. Be like, no, it really happens all the time. Or I can tell you about Spartacus and the show and how great it was, or I can lie about it and tell you a whole bunch of lies about how bad it was. That could be fun too. Enjoy that. I can tell you about Hercules. Probably one. This microphone's better. Again, sound team, thank you. You're even better than yesterday. Yeah, please sign for that. Isn't that great? That's nice. Yeah. He's not even, he's like on his phone. He's probably playing like Candy Crush or something. Level 25, doing great. Alright, so or do you want to ask questions? Because that's probably the best way for me to do this, or I'll tell you a bunch of stuff you don't want to know, which would be boring. So has anyone got any really good questions? Okay, we'll start. Anyone got any like mediumly good questions? Like, you know, okay questions. Let's not leave the good stuff early. There's a question down here. Oh, look, see, this is so great. Now I don't have to run around, everybody's happy. Thanks, Mark. Mark's great, by the way. If we haven't, have we seen Mark in all of these? Hi, how are you?
Great.
I don't know. You're speaking to it really loudly like this. Hi. Yeah? Somebody complain? No?
In Season 2, you had to rescue Navia from the mines.
Correct.
I was wondering if it was as uncomfortable and nasty looking.
Yes! It was awful! That was like the most unpleasant experience in the history of television. I don't know, there are probably a few people that might be here at the convention that would argue with me. I'm sure Reese would probably say I did some things in Game of Thrones that were pretty hard. But this was awful. So they built like this, they built these mines, and when we thought mines, we thought like mines of Moria kinds of mines. We were like, oh, it's going to be this mine. It's like, boom, 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 echoing and stuff. And it wasn't. It was this mine that was like, cool, let's find Navia in this thing. It's awful. And then they filled it with water and sludge at the bottom of it to make it extra gross. And then, like, it started, so in New Zealand, we filmed in the middle of winter, which is cold. I'm sure you guys are familiar with winters. They're quite cold. New Zealand was no different. And so the water, they started off with warm water. They put in like really hot water into these mine things that are gross, which was great for the first half hour of the day until it got freezing cold. And I was like, oh, you haven't thought this out. And so we were in this like freezing cold water in no clothes at all, which is obviously horrible. Sorry ladies, just, yeah, and you're like, oh, can I wear some pants? That'd be great. And then they covered you in like, oh, mud. You know, it's just memories now. I feel like I'm getting like flashbacks. So they cover you in like this mud, but like, you know, you just sort of go, well, just cover them in mud. Sure, no problem. What's nothing bad about mud? It's just dirt with water in it. But they found like some kind of slime thing that looks like mud on camera, because apparently mud on camera looks like something else. I don't even know. I just don't understand. Some crazy science. But yeah, so they like cover you in this sort of plasticky, gross paint mud thing, which is like, I feel like you get this, some sort of like Ghostbusters slime pack or something, and it's okay. It's just, it feels disgusting, like covering yourself in a kind of a black sort of butter or something, and it's like that. But it's not terrible for the first few hours, and then because the lights that you're under when you film make everything really dry, it's then really hot, and then it dries to you, and every time you move, it tears a part of your skin away from it. It's just, it's like. I can't even explain it. I'm trying to think of something like, if you covered yourself in like bandages and like tape, and then just tried to do a dance, it's kind of that feeling. It's awful. So, yeah, the mines were just great. Yeah. I've never been so happy to find Navia in my life. it was unpleasant. Summary. 20-minute conversation, summary, unpleasant. Sorry. All right. Time for one more question. Not really. How many more? Anyone else got a question that I can answer? Oh, he's so excited. It's nice to see you again. Yes.
Hi.
Hi. Good time, wie geht's?
Ja, danke dir.
Okay. What is your question? Haben Sie eine Frage? Sorry, German. It's the only language I know besides English. Let me have this. But I don't know it very well, so please ask the question in English.
Sorry for my rubbish English.
No, sorry for my rubbish German.
I have never learned English in school. Okay, I have my question in 2 parts. The first part. Have you any response from Kirk
Douglas?
Yes.
Yes.
About the series? Yes. Really?
Yes.
Yeah. What say this guy?
Okay. I love this story. Thank you. I don't know this man. I didn't get in to ask this question. 2 questions. Yes. What is the second question?
What is the next date for see you in TV?
Excellent question. Both good questions. All right, cool. Answer the first question, which is awesome. I did. We had in my second season of Spartacus, the last one, War of the Damned. At around the same time we were doing publicity for the show, Kirk Douglas, who's Kirk Douglas, was doing publicity for a book about his experiences on Spartacus and writing it and getting through the Hollywood blacklist and all this sort of stuff. Back in the days of communism and stuff, fun. But so he was publicizing his book, and so some clever person at Stars was like, "How about we put those 2 people together?" And I was like, "That's a great idea." And so I got to meet Kirk Douglas, which is about the coolest thing that's ever happened, besides meeting my wife. Sorry, oh no, don't point to her. She could be anywhere. She's terrified now. Don't hurt her. Be nice. So I met Kirk Douglas. And we got to have a conversation, and he's like the coolest guy in the world. I mean, he's really old, like crazy old, like 96 old. And he's obviously he'd had a stroke, and he's kind of got better, and he can sort of talk, but he was just the most amazing person, fascinating, hilarious, interesting, supportive, generous. It was just, he was a really cool dude. So we like sat backstage, and he would tell me about things. And I was just like, tell me more anything, Kirk Douglas. Anything you say is great. And he like signed something for my mother, which is really cool. And then I was on the stage, and I got to come out to a stage much like this and be like, "Hi, I'm Liam McIntyre, and I'm Spartacus." And he'd be like, "Yeah, fun, cool." People clapped. It was nice. And then from this side of the stage, this guy's like, "No, I'm Spartacus." And I was like, "Correct. You are." And it was amazing. And I had a sword that I presented to him and stuff. I was like, "Don't hurt him with the sword." And it was like, so yes. And he was very nice. He said I was an excellent Spartacus, which is about the best compliment you could ever get. I was like, that's made my week. And then I sent him, I wasn't sure what to do because I was kind of overwhelmed. Some people are surprised that people in the public eye, like people that have been on television shows and stuff like that, still get starstruck. I get starstruck like crazy, and so I was like, "That's good." So I wasn't sure what to do, and so I was like, I had a publicist, and I was like, "Can I I wrote this to Kurt, and I want to send it to him. I don't know how to do that, so I'm going to send you an email, and if you can make that happen, that'd be great. If not, that's fine." Weeks later, he sends me back, I get in the mail this thing from the desk of Kirk Douglas, and it's like a typewriter letter from him saying it was lovely to meet you, all this nice stuff. I was like, it's a typewriter. It's like so, different generations. It was cool. Anyway, there's that. Second question: are you going to see me on television? No, that's it. I'm done. That's it. This is one thing. That's all. No, it's. I hope not. At the moment, there's nothing I can talk about, which is fun. But I'll let you know as soon as I can say that there's some exciting show that I'll be part of. There's been conversations, but nothing I can officially tell you yet. I can lie to you though. I can tell you all these things I'm not on, and I'll be like, "Yeah, I'm on this show, I'm on that show. It'll be great." But as soon as I can, I'll let you know. I'll send up the bat signal or something and be like, "Boom, he's in this show. It'll be great." Anyone else have any questions?
Mentioning the bat signal.
Yes.
Would that be something you would be up for?
Yes. Yes, I would definitely be the guy that works the back signal in the background, where Batman's like, Ben Affleck's like, Batman, and I'd be like, yeah, so that'd be a cool job. That'd be a cool job. I'd do that. Yeah, but if he's like, I'm sick and I couldn't be Batman, I'd be like, all right, I'll be Batman. That would be a fine job to do. There's so many people here. I feel very flattered. Thank you. Anyone else have any cool questions? Which was an excellent question. I'm thinking. See, now I feel like you first, maybe not. Anyway, you won.
When you come back to Belgium?
When will I come back to Belgium? What day is it? Well, if they'll have me back next year, I'd come. Belgium's really cool. I feel like I won't have enough time to see it all. I'm going to Bruges. Bruges is meant to be really nice. Is Bruges nice? I feel like a rock star. Who's from Bruges? Yeah! Yeah. Who's here from Ghent? Right. Yeah, and it's so far been nothing but cool. So I'm like, fancy buildings and stuff that we don't have in countries that I'm from. I'm like, this house was built before like our country was found. This is cool. And then like in LA, it's just like, is that old? Knock it down, throw it away. So there's nothing in LA is even remotely old. And so you're walking around like, cobblestones, this is cool. Not good for running on though, I found. That's really painful. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I hadn't planned that far in advance. I don't know where I'll be next week. I feel like I'm a traveling circus nomad guy. This is the acting life one where you sort of go, oh cool, I just moved into a house in Los Angeles. How fun. And like last year, we were there for like a month, and then they're like, all right, get out, go to another country. You can go to Bulgaria for like 3 months. I'm like, that's, Beverly Hills, Bulgaria. So you just never know. So I can't give you a day. Maybe it'll be Tuesday. Maybe it'll be next year. I don't know. But I would love to come back. It's been a lovely country. You've been very hospitable. Thank you so much. Question over here. Lady in red.
I hope you don't hate me for this, but there was this really great Doritos commercial you did, and I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about that.
No, I do hate you already. Yeah. You've used the word great there. Great, I'm no dictionary, but I'm pretty sure the word great indicates something that's good, preferable, amazing, better than normal. Okay, so, for those of you that don't know, close your ears because I don't want you to know. For those of you that do know, you'll be aware of the Doritos commercial, which is great. Great commercial. It's just so good. Which involved, so I went to Los Angeles well before I had any kind of career, and you do things you regret. Things happen. Fortunately, mine was minor because it was, just a Doritos commercial that was that's not an official Doritos commercial. Don't be under any estimations that Doritos rang me up and said, can you do a really embarrassing dance for no reason? Great, here's $1 million. That never happened. So I had someone in my acting class who was German. Thanks, Germany. He was like, hello, well, why don't you come into a show with me? This will be fun. And I was like, sure, okay. I'm in LA doing something on television, doing something with a camera. I feel important. It was like a submission for the Doritos commercial that they were going to do on the Super Bowl. She didn't win. I tried my best. They stuck a green screen, which was like flapping in the wind. It was a bit low budget. And I did a ridiculous dance over and over again, and they stuck different countries behind me in post. It was amazing. I know, I'm still waiting for Doritos to be like, here's your $1 million. As yet, they have not given it to me. But yeah, so if you want to look at me, be far less cool than I am in Spartacus, that's the place you want to be. Hello! My friends brought a Doritos bag. Thank you, friends. We can't be friends anymore.
Maybe your $1 million is in there.
Is it? Maybe it is. Maybe a Nigerian prince really wants to give me $1 million from Nigeria. You know what? If the $1 million is in there, you just keep it. You know what? I'm going to take that chance. I've offended her. I'm sorry. Doritos is just like, it's just the food I eat. You don't have to eat it. It's okay. It's not official. What?
She's coming back.
Thank God. All right. Stop everything. Get out. No, okay, good. All right. Everybody's just stay here. Let's not do anything until she gets back. She don't want to miss it. No, it's okay. Anyone else have any questions? Eine Frage? Questions? Questions, whatever that is in Flemish. Someone help me out. What's questions in Flemish? Frage? This is great. It's like, I almost feel like I know that word. I would ask you a question if he hasn't already got the microphone right behind you. See? So close. So close. You want to ask a question? All right. Well, you're next. All right. One at a time. Oh, easy.
I was just wondering what it was like to film Spartacus, because I thought it was all in front of a green screen and hardly any sets.
It was. Well, no, it was plenty of sets. That was all it was. Like, there were fun things, because you're shooting in New Zealand, and I don't know if you've seen Lord of the Rings. Of course you have. I mean, like, everybody's seen Lord of the Rings, not just because we're at, like, a convention. And, you know, and like, New Zealand is basically just a forest. That's all it is. So, like, it's 99% forest. I haven't checked the mathematics on that. It might not be 99% forest. It's probably quite a lot of forest. So we were shooting most of season 2, running through some version of a forest. So what they did was build a forest inside a building, instead of just go outside to where all the forest is. And I'd be like, open the door and be like, why don't we just go there? It's like forest, I can see it right there, let's go. But no, they built like these big sticks, which they would turn into trees later on. Probably costing millions of dollars, I don't know. But yeah, so it was a different experience. It was kind of cool. I imagine it was like shooting the episode 1, 2, and 3 of Star Wars, where you're like, none of this is real. But I guess because I went from like theater acting before doing this TV stuff, I guess I'm used to the idea of being like, oh, an audience. I can imagine that it's a big, good imagination. I don't know, like a circus. There you go. We'll make it a circus. So, you know, I guess you just get used to pretending you're in a space and you kind of go, all right, well, like the amount of times that I'd stand on something like this, against like, there'd be a green screen there, and they had a camera here, and you're like, you're seeing, I don't know, like a million Romans and mountains with snow on them, and you're like, okay, sure. Go. All right. Romans, got it. Yeah, so I mean, it's a different experience. I mean, shooting on location is sometimes easier because you're like, oh, there they are, Romans, hi. But not necessarily easier or better. It's just an imagination thing, really. It's cool. It was fun. All right, you have a question. You have a question. You have a question. She is to try to ask, but she doesn't speak English, so you can translate her question. Excellent. Great.
Well, she wanted to know what was your favorite scene.
I'll do it. What was my favorite scene?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, to be honest, my favorite scene is probably the very first scene in the whole show, which is Andy Whitfield underneath the arena with his hands sort of half shaking as he's waiting for his fate. I thought that was one of the most amazing kind of scenes. Like when I was showing my best friend Spartacus for the first time, well before I was ever involved, I remember watching that scene and going, I don't know, I'm in. Whatever you do from now, I'm good. This is whatever the show is, it's clearly awesome. So, yeah, for me, I guess that's my favorite scene in the show, weirdly enough, which I think wasn't even in the original script, if I'm correct in remembering what some director told me once. So, don't quote me, because memory is not my favorite thing. But I'm pretty sure that was true. But for me, I mean, for me, my favorite scene was, conversely, probably the last scene, because it was like the most emotionally draining and important and heartbreaking scene where someone's going, hey, here's the whole show, this is the ending, don't screw it up, which is a lot of pressure. But yeah, it was really fun. I don't know, and it's also like, I guess, in that moment where I sort of, I guess I watched it later and went, if I can do that kind of acting for the rest of my life, things might be okay. I was like really proud of that moment as an actor, which is nice, you know, it's a nice feeling. So when anyone can do something in the job that they love, that they're truly proud of, and aren't sitting there going, oh, I should have done that, or yeah, it was alright, you know, it was cool for me to be able to sit there and enjoy something that I did, not tear it apart, and try to think of better ways to do it and stuff like that. So that was cool, but I mean, there's so many great moments. I mean, I cut a guy's face off, that's awesome. And I really like that scene with Glaber and Alithia when he finds out she's tried to abort the baby, and he like, throws the little thing that was going to kill the baby to the side. I was like, emotions. And the scene when Barrow. Has anyone not seen the show? Because I feel like I've ruined the whole show for you. Spoiler alert, like 5 minutes ago. Sorry. Yeah, so I don't know. I think it's probably the last one. Let's go with that. Or I also do like a Shoryuken Ryu kind of uppercut thing in the episode before that, which is cool. For the video game nerd inside me, it's pretty big. Anyone else with a question? Hello.
Video game question.
Video game question. My favorite. All right, let's talk video games.
Let's start for you. I can't ask you a lot of questions, but I've got one specific.
One specific question. It's going to be great.
Ubisoft made a game from Spark.
They did.
They did.
Yes.
Yeah.
They sure did. I don't remember. I was there.
You were there.
Yeah.
Do you play it?
I did. I don't play it now.
No. Right now you're here, so.
This guy. Yes, he's right. I'm playing. Excuse me a minute. I'm gonna play the game. No, it was fun. I remember having a chat with Ubisoft, going, "Please, Ubisoft, don't make it a fighting game. Make it like a role-playing game." But then again, it would right. Okay, we're gonna talk about this. No. But then I guess if you're Ubisoft, you go, cool idea, Liam, that'd be great. Have you got like $100 million? Oh, you don't? What a shame. Because I imagine making like a Elder Scrolls Spartacus game would cost a bucket of money. But to me, I was just like, make it a cool game. Because, I don't have any concept of money. But it was really fun. Because I'm such a disrespectful person. Like, I was like, hi guys, got a few ideas, here's 14 pages of notes that they probably were like, yeah, sure actor, that'd be cool. Yeah, let's do all these, cool, next. But yeah, no, I haven't played it in a while actually. Do you still play it?
Sometimes. I'm not on PlayStation 4, so it's on PlayStation 3.
Yeah, this is true, but now with PlayStation Now, they might be able to play it. I don't know if you can yet. I don't know if they've brought it up. Yes, this is the thing. Sorry guys, anyone not playing computer games? This is going to get real boring for you.
I'm studying to be a video game designer, so we can...
That's cool.
It's cool, right?
That's cool. Cool. Is everyone more cool than that? That's for me, that's pretty cool.
In 3 years, we can talk.
3 years.
We can play...
Set a watch right now. 3 years exactly
I'll
from right now. Synchronize watches. Go.
Okay.
Spice up.
3 years.
Alright, cool. TikTok. Alright, clock's ticking. I'll see you in exactly 3 years.
Right here.
Let's do it right here. Even if nobody else is here, and we have to break into this place.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
It's fun, because you can do it.
I can kick things.
You can like cut someone.
Boom.
Yeah.
Right back like that. Does anyone else want to kick some doors with me? Cool, sweet. That's cool, good. Excellent. Good idea. Anyone else have some video game questions?
Yeah.
No. Really? It doesn't have to be. Does anyone have any questions that they're like, oh my god, I'll die if I don't ask this question?
I would like to know something a bit more serious. How was it? Not that serious. How easy or difficult was it to get in the right mindset to play the character? Because there's not a lot of documentation on how he feels in a certain...
History question, nice.
I'm a history buff.
Man, I had one director on Spartacus that was like this trippy, bearded transcendentalist. I don't know how to translate that word. I don't know, he probably did a lot of drugs. But yeah, he came out with questions like, hey, Spartacus probably never had seen himself in the mirror because they didn't have mirrors back then. I was like, whoa, right. He doesn't know what he looks like. Flash forward like a month later, I was like, who cares? How is that really going to affect my character? Oh, the face, the beard, who knows? So I'm like, I don't know if that's helping. But no, seriously, it was like, you're right, there is very, very surprisingly little documentation on Spartacus. So much so, this loops me right back to like the whole Kirk Douglas conversation, so thank you. I feel like I'm creating a story net, which is that most of what we know as Spartacus and the myth of Spartacus is entirely created by Trumbo, F.A.C.T.S, and Douglas in the book, the movie, and his portrayal of Spartacus in the movie. So when someone says, oh, Spartacus, he's kind of like a Robin Hood kind of character, he's the one that freed the slaves, all that sort of thing. Who knows? Maybe. There's surprisingly little evidence that says Spartacus did, even again, same director, he did some great stuff. this director also was like, what if there wasn't a Spartacus? I'm like, oh, cool. Then I'd be unemployed. Yeah, and he was like, what if it was like a combination of generals, or not generals, or like major slaves or gladiators from that time, and when they all broke out, they kind of had all these little rebellions, and they when they wrote about it 100 years later, which is the earliest documentation, I think, on Spartacus's rebellion, when they wrote about it, they just kind of got all of them and called them one person, because one person's scarier than, oh, there was a bunch of people around that did some stuff. So you're like, oh, this one guy did all this stuff and it was terrible and it nearly destroyed Rome. How scary! You should, hurt your slaves more. Great. More chains. So yeah, for me, it's really interesting, that history of who Spartacus was. So I guess for me, it was important because I was replacing Andy Whitfield. I thought he created the heart of Spartacus so fantastically, like emotionally, that I was like, well, I can't copy him and what he does, or how he looks, or how he moves, and all that sort of stuff, because that would be weird. But if I can somehow get a similar emotional beat to the thing he was doing and try to be, if people could go, oh, he's sort of, his soul is in the same kind of place as the way Andy portrayed him, I thought that would be the best way for me to get into the character. So rather than go through history books that have very little information, or go through the Kirk Douglas, but again, Kirk Douglas is kind of the archetype Spartacus. He's like the baseline of Spartacus, because after that, everyone started to assume, that's who Spartacus was. He was a really nice guy who wasn't nice, but he was a really brave, strong guy, independent, did all these wonderful things and tried to free people from slavery. But there's so many theories about all that. But it was, so there's that, which I guess is important to who Spartacus is anyway. But yeah, trying to tap into that special thing that Andy found, I thought was probably the best way for me to approach it emotionally anyway.
Well, you succeeded.
Oh, thank you. Oh. Hey, that's good.
We've got time for one final question.
One final question. So who has the best question? You know how I was saying, like, early on, don't ask the best question until, like, right now? This is the time. If you
I think this lady is good question.
This is the good. Look, you're really excited. Like, all up energy.
No pressure?
No pressure. I mean, probably a lot of pressure, like, if you really thought about it, but don't think about it. A lot of pressure.
You said that the ending scene was, for you, a very powerful scene.
Yes.
What I remember from the scene was that Spartacus said, Spartacus is not even my real name. And I thought to myself, that's true. You completely forget during the series that it's not his real name.
I made them put it in. That's me. Yeah.
Very nice.
I'm sure Stephen would be like, no, he didn't.
I wondered, did you have like a secret soul name for Spartacus yourself?
No, I know. Besides George. No. That was the thing, because there was a time in the writing of that last episode when I was like, come on, he doesn't have a name, don't be like, that's my name. Just be like, that's not my name. When they say Spartacus, make it be like a joke about it. Like, no, lady, it's not my name. Yeah, and so then they were like, oh, well, should we say what his name was? I'm like, not that, again, this is me talking like it was my decision. It wasn't my decision. This is Stephen and I, again, it was probably like the Ubisoft game guy. It was like, cool idea, Liam. Like, he's actually lovely. But, yeah, no, so we talked about it, the director and the producers and Stephen and I, and we were all kind of like, we shouldn't give him a name because we like the idea that Spartacus is everybody, and so anyone could say, I want to be a hero, I want to fight for freedom, I want to be Spartacus, and so it was kind of part of the whole mythology that he didn't have a name, like his name is anybody's name, so anyone could feel like they were him or part of him. We joked about a lot of names, and generally we just like try to find the most embarrassing name that we go for, which I won't say because, what if you called that name? How annoying. But we went through a bunch of them. They were hilarious. But yeah, you just be like, what's your name? Percival, I don't know. Yeah, which is cool. But no, we didn't have a name. I didn't really think, I guess if ever I thought of him having a name, I guess I tried to think of it as my name because it was connected to me and otherwise, it was George Clooney. Spartacus is really George Clooney. it was easiest to think of it as somehow me. But that was kind of the idea anyway, that everyone could think of Spartacus as them. So that was the best way to access that anyway. Yeah. So, cool, like serious questions at the end. That was great. So that's all the time we had. So I feel like I should have hit like with a good joke at the end. All right, dance off the stage. You haven't forgot?
Yeah, no, 2 words from Germany, from Amazon. It's funny. You know Amazon when you buy any DVDs?
One click, yeah.
Yeah.
Is this, do you work for Amazon? Are we doing like an ad now? Is this like, hi, Amazon, you should buy?
When you have 5 stars, very good, 4 stars, okay.
Not so good.
1 star, not good. The last season comes to Amazon, and you have a lot of 1 stars.
Yeah.
From young people.
Oh, thanks for bringing that up. That's great. Thanks.
Oh my God! This is a rubbish season. The main characters is dying.
Oh, now everybody knows.
No idea about history. No?
Oh, that was amazing. The amount of people that I've been like, what do you mean he dies? I'm like, dude, it's in history. Come on, man. It's like, yeah, that's true.
And Amazon delete the more as 201 stars. Yeah.
Wow!
Amazon.
I feel awful now. Sorry. You know what? Don't watch Spartacus. It's a terrible show. It's such a bad show. No, really? Oh, well, I probably deleted it.
Now
I probably
you
went in
have
there.
4 stars.
Now I've got 4 stars, which I think correctly was good. Not great, just good. But no. Thank you. No, right? Hilarious. No. Correct. Who was it? Was it 1 you? 1 stars? No, sorry. Ta-da! The end. Thank you, Mark. Goodbye.